So when do you get the highest profit for your EC? Is it 5 years or 10 years? Today we're going to touch on executive condo. So what is executive condo and why are they built? Okay, it is actually known as a sandwich flat, and EC is actually a public-private housing which is developed by a private developer but subsidized by the government. It is actually catered for the middle-income Singaporeans who had already exceeded the income ceiling for applying the HDB BTO but still find the private properties too expensive to enter in. While we are not going to delve too much into the details, there's another channel called Stack Home has covered extensively on this topic, so you can actually get more details from there. So let's get on. So the big questions on everyone's mind is, when should you sell your EC? Okay, many had asked me these questions because EC is like the HDB BTO. They have a minimum 5 years of MOP, the minimum occupation period, where they can sell to Singaporeans, PR, and also rent out the whole flat from the 5th year onwards. So, but for EC, when they hit 10 years and above, it becomes a fully privatized property that you can start selling to foreigners also. So a lot of question is, do you sell when it's just MOP on the 5th year, or do you wait till it's on the 10th year? So the considerations for selling an EC, for me, is the same considerations even if you're selling other property type like the landed, the condominiums, and etc. Okay, so we narrow down to 3 considerations. The first one is the general economy. Second one will be supply and demand. And the third one for me is always, is there any developments or what we call future transformation in the local area where you're going to sell your property? So let's look at, first we look at the economy. Okay, as a small open economy, Singapore is extremely vulnerable to external developments. In the past, any crisis that hit Singapore, the property prices will get hit too. Example like the Asian financial crisis in 1997, there are a mass retrenchment. So that's why a lot of property owners lost their jobs. And they also lost their tenant due to retrenchment also. Property prices, values went down, the banks start to call back the loan, and some of the property owners also lost their property. And this property market's doldrums actually carry on through the SARS until 2007, where we see the property prices went back up to the same level as 1997. Through the many crises, Singapore government has learned from the past experience, and they handle the crisis better and better. So like during this current crisis, the COVID-19, governments went deep into our reserve and subsidized the company, and that's why a lot of employments and still holding on, so we don't lose our job. When you don't lose a job, you have the ability to pay your installments, then your holding power is able to hold on to the property prices, so you don't see a lot of fire sales or people start to dump their properties and just get off the market. So this is basically, it saved the jobs, it also maintained the economy. Okay, now let's move on to our second consideration, which is a supply and demand. Okay, this will cover in the whole of Singapore and also down to the local area where you are selling your property. So let's touch on the whole of Singapore first. I'm going to show you these 2 graphs. One on my right is actually the new complete expected year of completions for new units in the market. On the right is 2018. The other one on the left is actually 2021. This is taken up from the URA website, and usually they will show this during their 3rd quarter reports. Okay, so you can actually go back to URA and check on this one. All right, why are we looking at this? So on the graph, you can see there's dark maroon color and also the light pinkish color. So the dark maroon color is aiming at the private properties, and then the light one is the EC. We are not going to take a look at the EC because EC during their completions, they can't sell. They still have to have an MOP of 5 years. So we are looking at the private properties because during this time where we call the TOP is a time where they can get the key and move in. And a lot of investors will buy during the launch, and then they will sell during the TOP where they will maximize the profit during that time. So just before TOP or during TOP and slightly after TOP, you will see quite a lot of these kind of units will be in the market for sales and of course for rental too. So why are we looking at this? Because this will affect what can the buyer buy during this time. So you can see in 2018, during that time, there was a calculations based on the land sales and en bloc sales. In 2021, they're supposed to have 12,263 of new complete units coming into the market. But if you can see on my left hand, where 2021, the third quarter, there was only 2,123 units completing only. So that's why we rarely see any TOP or constructing projects that's completing this year. So this will affect the price because there's not many units in the market for the buyers to choose. So they actually went back to the resale market that pushes the resale price up. You can see the past few quarters, resale price has actually run and then the prices has gone up quite a lot. So this is one of the reasons why your resale price will go up, and this is one of the reasons you may want to consider when do you want to sell a property. So let's get on to here. So during the COVID-19, the circuit breaker, the delay in all this completion of this unit is due because there are the circuit breaker, the COVID cases in dormitory where there's a disruptions of construction work lead to delay in the TOP to almost 1 to 2 years. So there was low supply already unit that leads to higher demand in the resales unit. That's why the resale price went up. And we will see probably another disruptions of supplies due to the cooling measures that was implemented on the 5th of July 2018. When that cooling measures were implemented, we see the en bloc activities totally stagnated. And also the GLS, the government land sales also has lessened. So in this 2018, it will bring forward to 5 years later, there will be a lesser supply of ready unit because a project takes about 4 to 5 years to build. That's usual timeline. And that is not even including this circuit breaker. So if you are looking at circuit breaker, the delay of this completion will even drag longer. So you can calculate from 5 years, from 2018 up to 7 years, that so-called period will probably has lesser supply, and that is probably the prices of the property markets will be moving higher during that time. And of course, another demand, supply and demands also from the neighborhood that you are selling your property. It's just, let me take examples like the Punggol, Sengkang, there's a lot EC that was built in the time of 2013 and 2014. So basically during last year and the year before, there's a lot of them MOP. So you can see a lot of supplies of EC coming to the market, and that is why a lot of the prices did not go as high as expected. Of course, you still get your profit because when you bought that time, it was 5 years ago price or 7 years ago price. But in this moment, you should have already appreciated quite a lot. But because of the mass supply in the market, there is a lot of competitions, it will affect the price also. So, and then now we come to the third point, which is the future developments in your area, which we will refer back to master plan. So what is this about? It's actually about what is that going to be a future developments, like maybe is that going to be a new amenities that's going to be built? Okay, government actually declares the master plans, the master plan every 5 years. So this master plan actually affects the value of the properties in that area when they declare there's anything happen. Just take example like the Paya Lebar. Okay, when they declare they're going to move a lot of amenities in the Paya Lebar, Paya Lebar Park Place prices went from 1,006 all the way to 2,000, 2001. For the launch, just difference of less than a year to 1 year. And now we had the latest one, which is actually the Cross Island Line. Okay, if you can look at this Cross Island Line, along this line, since the time when the government declared the Cross Island Line until now, you can see the prices increase along this few MRT station along this Cross Island Line, because that is where most of the people will be looking at. They want to be near to MRT. Though this line is only going to be complete in 10 years time, yeah, but the prices already start escalating. So can you imagine as the time get nearer to the 10th year where the MRT station is ready to be in use, the property prices will probably go up to so much more times than present price. So basically, we also want to look at a few things other than these three considerations. Is what is the reason for selling your EC? Okay, usually the reasons falls under three categories. First one is to relocate to a preferred locations. And the reason could be near to a very good primary school, so that for your kids to register for that primary one. Okay, another one, amenities, MRT. You want to be nearer to MRT, you want to nearer to a shopping mall, or you want to near to your parents' place. Okay, so if your considerations of selling is because of this, then the timing of the selling probably doesn't really matters, because you really need to register a primary one for your son. You can't wait. Okay, if you want to be very convenient, you probably don't want to wait, because MRT properties around MRT normally appreciate faster than properties that's much away from MRT. So if it's for this reason alone, probably you don't have to wait. You probably just have to sell and then dive into invest into another unit in your preferred locations. Second one is planning to reinvest into multiple properties. Well, a lot of people sell one, buy two. Okay, you could be one of them. So this one will, of course, doing this, will give you a more flexibility in managing your property portfolio, and of course, grow your wealth through property investment. So through this consideration of whether the timing to sell now or much later to get more profit could be one of your considerations. But you also have to bear in mind the bank loan and the length of your loan. It depends on your age. So if you wait a bit longer, your tenure of your loan could be shorter and your monthly installments could be higher. And any changes in any policy during this time, that maybe now is a maximum loan is 75%. If the government feel that the market is too hot, they like to adjust. They adjust this down lower, then it could be affect your loan applications eligibility. The third reasons for those who have intention to cash out and take out all the profits and then downgrade to a smaller apartments or downgrade to a HDB, this is a very, very good options, especially for those who invested in property very, very early in their life. Okay, but I will advise a good timeline planning to be in place, because especially for those who are nearing to 55 or above the age 55, your full retirement sum will kick in, and that will affect your profit or your sales proceeds, which might be affected. So it is something that you can consider. So when do you get the highest profit for your EC? Is it 5 years or 10 years? Okay, so you can actually come to see this graph. This is actually for since 1997 till 2021 that we went through a few crises and also the cooling measure. You can see the price index up and down. So the AFC stand for Asian Financial Crisis.com, and then Global Financial Crisis, and of course during the time when the government is putting in a lot of cooling measure, and of course the recent COVID also. So I also have another graph which actually put next to each other, the next one. I actually pull out Quintech, which was actually an EC was launched in 2006 and the MOP was in 2011. So you can see the price index in 2006 for Quintech, and you can also comparatively next to it, you can see the 2006 price index in the global during the time. And then you see when the price went up in 2012, 2013, comparable to the time price index on the right side also. Okay, then after that, the Quintech actually more or less has come down due to the cooling measure, and it actually more or less like stagnated for the past 7 years until only recently the prices went up again. And if you compare to the right side, the curve of the prices index is almost quite similar. So if you ask me whether is it the 5th year or the 10th year is a maximum profit, really, if you can see this graph, this whole price index goes according what the market is moving, where the market is moving. So I just don't find that it's actually very related. So on the 5th year, you always get the maximized profit during that time. After that, I felt that it's following the market trend. I will compare another one, which I pull out La Casa, which was also launched in 2008, and then the MOP was 2013. Same, you can see the price actually maximized on the 2013. It went very high up. But because 2013 there's a cooling measure, it came down. So you see the price index on the right, same thing, 2013 it just came down. And for the left side, the La Casa, after 2013, you can see the whole price actually quite stagnant also for the 7 to 8 years time. And only recently went up because of the demand in the market. So is it on the 5th year or the 10th year you get a maximum? I would say follow the market, follow the price trend. But on the 5th year, you always get a very good profit. After that, the price follow the market. So this will be the end of my talk for today. And if you have any questions or anything that you wish to know, just put a comment in the description below. We will try to answer you, or maybe any topics that you want us to actually touch on in the future, give us your suggestion also. So I'm Jen Tan. Always love to hear from you.